Your bank account is lying to you right now. The numbers you see, they're temporary fiction. Heaven already stamped you as high value. The divine wire transfer is loading, and when it hits, it's going to feel illegal. How fast everything changes. Listen closely. What you're about to experience isn't just a financial shift. This is a complete identity overhaul. You've been living beneath your spiritual credit score for years, and the universe is about to correct that error violently and suddenly. The wallet anxiety you've been carrying like a second skin. It's about to dissolve into deposits that make you question reality. But here's what they don't tell you about sudden wealth. It doesn't arrive alone. It brings warfare. It brings temptation. It brings a psychological shift so intense that most people can't handle it. You think the delay was denial. Wrong. The delay was divine disguise. The delay was protection. You weren't ready for what's coming because the money isn't even the main thing. You're not just getting wealth. You're becoming a move of God in human form. You're transforming into a walking prophecy, a living answered prayer, a breathing miracle that will make others question everything they thought they knew about how heaven operates. The shift is here. The wait is over. And everything you thought you understood about money is about to be rewritten. Like this message right now, as your agreement with what heaven is declaring over you, subscribe so you don't miss the next word God sends specifically for you. Let me tell you something that's going to sound like a contradiction, but is absolute truth. Sudden wealth looks like a blessing, but it behaves like an exam. It arrives dressed as favor, but it's actually a test in disguise. You know what happens when money shows up? Options multiply. And options, they don't just give you freedom, they multiply temptation. When your bills disappear, when financial pressure evaporates, that's when the real test begins. Because now, you have to answer a question you've been avoiding your entire broke season. Who are you when survival isn't the motivation anymore? Money is not luxury first. Money is power. And power is the most honest mirror you'll ever face. Power doesn't lie. Power reveals. It takes your motives, your character, your hidden intentions, and broadcasts them in high definition for the entire world to witness. This is why the delay happened. The delay wasn't punishment. The delay was a furnace. God was burning out the insecurity, the ego, the desperation, the people-pleasing, the validation-seeking, all that had to be incinerated before the abundance could land safely in your hands. Here's the truth that will sting. God doesn't trust wealth with everyone. Heaven only releases financial power to those who have matured in stewardship. The universe watched how you handled nothing. It studied how you treated people when you had no leverage. It observed whether you remained generous when generosity hurt. It documented your integrity when no one was watching, and there was no reward in sight. You passed tests you didn't even know you were taking. And now the payout arrives. But understand this clearly. The wealth isn't the reward. The wealth is the next assignment. The wealth is God saying, you handled lack with grace. Now let's see if you can handle abundance with wisdom. The exam doesn't end when money arrives. The exam begins. Here's a hard truth that most prosperity preachers won't tell you. Money doesn't change you. Money amplifies you. Wealth doesn't give you a makeover. Wealth gives the real you a microphone. Whatever is inside you right now, wealth will turn up the volume. If there's generosity inside you, you'll become radically generous. If there's insecurity inside you, you'll become a luxury-obsessed validation addict. If there's wisdom inside you, You'll become a strategic force of nature. If there's brokenness inside you, you'll use wealth like a band-aid for wounds that require surgery. Look around. Watch wealthy people who are miserable. They're not miserable because they have money. They're miserable because wealth exposed what they were running from. Unhealed people use wealth to chase validation. They buy approval. They purchase control. They collect applause like it's oxygen. They're not living. They're performing. Wealth turns on a flashlight over every habit you ignored, every wound you buried, every pattern you justified. You thought you could hide behind busy and broke. You thought financial pressure was the only problem. But wealth removes that excuse. Wealth says, okay, the bills are paid. Now what? Who are you without the struggle story? This is why the preparation through lack was so critical. You had to be trained in the wilderness before you could be trusted in the palace. You had to learn discipline when it hurt. You had to develop character when it cost you. You had to build integrity when there was no audience and no immediate reward. For the chosen ones, for those who are divinely assigned, wisdom must be louder than wealth. Your character must be stronger than your credit score. Your values must be non-negotiable, even when wealth offers you the option to compromise. You're not becoming rich. You're becoming responsible for what wealth can accomplish through a surrendered vessel. The money is simply the tool. You are the assignment. You felt ignored. You felt overlooked. You felt invisible. But you weren't any of those things. You were hidden. There's a massive difference. Wealth given too early is a magnet for opportunists disguised as supporters. If the blessing had arrived 5 years ago, you would have been surrounded by people who loved your potential but would have destroyed your purpose. They would have clapped for your rise while secretly sabotaging your foundation. God wasn't withholding. God was protecting. Heaven was watching the people around you, studying their motives, testing their loyalty. And here's what time revealed. History doesn't equal loyalty. Just because someone knew you in the struggle doesn't mean they're worthy of standing with you in the success. Time revealed leaking cups. Time exposed silent competitors. Time uncovered fake family and fraudulent friends. The delay gave God time to separate the real from the rehearsed, the genuine from the performance, the loyal from the opportunistic. You lost people during the delay, and you thought it was punishment. It wasn't. It was divine extraction. Heaven was removing access from those who would have contaminated the blessing. They had to go before the wealth could come, because their presence would have poisoned what God was preparing. Now look around. Who's still standing? Only those who valued your worth without your wealth. Only those who saw the king in you when you were wearing poverty like a crown. Only those who recognized your assignment when the world called you irrelevant. These are the ones who get to witness the shift. These are the ones who earn the right to celebrate the breakthrough. Not because they're perfect, but because they were present when presence cost them something. The delay wasn't denial. The delay was a sorting system. And now that the sorting is complete, the wealth can arrive without contamination. Let me shatter an illusion right now. The sudden wealth that's coming isn't for flexing. It's not for stunting. It's not so you can post luxury and collect likes. The wealth is for building. The wealth is for kingdom assignments. You are being resourced intentionally for legacy work. You are being financially positioned for global impact. This isn't about you living comfortable. This is about you becoming a conduit for divine strategy that heals communities, delivers families, and shifts generations. Chosen ones don't just live well. Chosen ones build movements. You're not getting wealthy so you can relax. You're getting wealthy so you can execute. Heaven is funding a mission, and you are the vessel through which that mission will manifest in the earth. You were stripped of attention during the delay so that the blessing wouldn't corrupt you. God removed the spotlight so you could develop in secret. You had to become invisible so the wealth wouldn't become your identity. You had to be hidden so the assignment would stay pure. True kingdom wealth is not personal luxury. True kingdom wealth is divine currency designed to heal the broken, deliver the captive, restore the forgotten, and resource the revolution. You are not being blessed to impress the world. You are being blessed to impact eternity. The homes you'll buy will become refugees. The businesses you'll build will become employment solutions. The investments you'll make will become generational liberation. The resources you'll steward will become answers to prayers people haven't even prayed yet. This is why the responsibility is heavy. This is why the preparation was intense. This is why the delay was necessary. You're not just becoming wealthy. You're becoming a weapon of mass restoration. And heaven doesn't hand out weapons to people who aren't trained. The wealth is not the mission. The wealth funds the mission. And the mission is bigger than anything you've imagined so far. While you are feeling invisible, you are actually being watched. Not by crowds, not by social media, by gatekeepers, by financial architects, by divine investors, by benefactors you've never met who were studying you from a distance. Banks were watching. Investors were watching. Doors were watching. Destiny was watching. They weren't looking at your image. They were studying your character under pressure. They were observing your integrity without applause. They were documenting your generosity without guarantee. See, money isn't waiting for your arrival. Money is waiting for your readiness. Wealth doesn't respond to desperation. Wealth responds to preparation. And while you are grinding in obscurity, while you are faithful in the hidden place, while you were excellent when no one was clapping, the gatekeepers were taking notes. They watched how you treated people who couldn't benefit you. They observed how you conducted yourself when you had nothing to gain. They documented whether you stayed consistent when life got hard and the audience disappeared. They studied whether you were the same person in private that you claimed to be in public. Your excellence in obscurity has triggered doors that no amount of networking could buy. Your faithfulness in the hidden place has opened access that no resume could secure. Your character, when no one was watching, has earned you invitations that no strategy could manufacture. The gatekeepers don't care about your follower count. They care about your fruit. They don't care about your pitch. They care about your integrity. They don't care about your performance. They care about your consistency. And now they're ready to release what they've been holding. The wealth isn't coming from where you expect. It's coming from the silent watchers who decided you're trustworthy. The sudden breakthrough isn't random. It's the result of divine observation that determined you passed. You didn't know you were being tested, but you passed anyway. And now the reward is about to make up for every year you spent feeling overlooked. Brace yourself for this reality. Your wealth is going to trigger people. Specifically, it's going to trigger the unhealed people who thought you'd stay beneath them forever. Your elevation threatens people who depended on your struggle for their own sense of superiority. They never hated your lack. They feared your rise. Your poverty made them comfortable. Your struggle validated their choices. Your limitation gave them permission to stay small. But your breakthrough exposes their wasted seasons and destroys their excuses. When you rise, they can't blame circumstances anymore. When you succeed, they can't hide behind, "It's not fair" anymore. When you break generational curses, They have to face the fact that they chose comfort over courage. And that realization is unbearable for the unhealed. So they'll rewrite the narrative. They'll call your breakthrough luck. They'll call it coincidence. They'll call it privilege. They'll call it scandal. They'll create conspiracy theories about how you really got there, because admitting you earned it would require them to take accountability for their own stagnation. Listen carefully. Your glow is restoration, not revenge. Your elevation is prophecy, not payback. You're not rising to prove anything to anyone. You're rising because heaven decided it was time, and no human opinion can override divine timing. They'll never understand it, and that's okay. Your assignment isn't to make them understand. Your assignment is to walk in obedience regardless of their commentary. Their confusion is not your responsibility. Their offense is not your burden. You keep moving. You keep building. You keep stewarding what God gave you with excellence and humility. And when they come back, later, trying to reconcile, trying to reconnect, trying to act like they were supportive all along, you'll have the wisdom to smile, be kind, and keep appropriate boundaries. Your elevation doesn't require their validation. Your wealth doesn't need their approval. You're not rising for an audience. You're rising for an assignment. Here's a truth that hits different when you experience it. Wealth will bring isolation, not because you changed, because the dynamics changed. Money shifts relationships faster than status ever could. Suddenly people expect access. They expect you to fund their dreams, fix their problems, finance their emergencies. They don't ask anymore. They guilt trip. They emotionally manipulate. They treat your wealth like it's communal property and your boundaries like their betrayal. You'll learn quickly who loved you and who loved your struggle. You'll discover who celebrated your heart and who just needed you to stay broken so they could feel needed. The circle shrinks, and it's painful. But the shrinking isn't rejection. The shrinking is divine refinement. God is removing the noise so you can hear His voice clearly. Heaven is clearing the room so the assignment can have space to breathe. The isolation isn't punishment. The isolation is protection. In the silence, you'll hear strategies you would have missed in the chaos. In the solitude, you'll receive downloads you couldn't access through distraction. In the smaller circle, you'll build deeper, more authentic connections than you ever had in the crowd. Silence becomes your secret weapon. Solitude becomes your strength. And the people who remain? They're not there because of what you have. They're there because of who you are. That's the circle worth protecting. That's the tribe worth investing in. Wealth doesn't ruin relationships. Wealth reveals relationships. And sometimes the revelation hurts. But the hurt is necessary, because carrying the wrong people into the next season will abort the assignment before it even begins. Let them go. Bless them from a distance. Wish them well. But protect your peace. Protect your focus. Protect the assignment. Because what God is building through you is too important to be contaminated by people who refuse to heal. This next part is critical, so lock in. Not every opportunity is divine. Some opportunities are demonic contracts disguised as breakthrough moments. Satan funds too, especially when you threaten his systems. When you start walking in kingdom wealth, when you start building with divine resources, the enemy sends counterfeits. He sends deals that look like blessings, but are actually spiritual traps. He sends partnerships that mirror your vision just to contain your voice. He sends money with strings attached that will strangle your assignment. Some wealth comes with bondage. Some success comes with compromise. Some opportunities require you to surrender your values, muzzle your message, or align with agendas that oppose everything you stand for. That's not favor. That's contamination. You need discernment more than you need dollars. You need spiritual clarity more than you need status. You need to know the difference between divine alignment and demonic distraction. Before you sign, pray. Before you partner, seek God. Before you say yes to the money, make sure you're not saying no to the mission. Because wealth without freedom is just expensive slavery. Success without integrity is just celebrated compromise. The right doors will feel like peace, even when they're challenging. The right opportunities will align with your values, even when they stretch you. The right partnerships will amplify your assignment, not muzzle it. But the wrong doors, they'll feel urgent. They'll pressure you to decide quickly. They'll make you feel like you'll miss out if you don't move now. That's not God. God doesn't operate in panic. God operates in peace. Learn to walk away from good opportunities that aren't God opportunities. Learn to decline wealth that comes with conditions that violate your conscience. Learn to say no to money that requires you to become someone you promised God you'd never be again. Your assignment is too valuable to sell for a check. Your voice is too anointed to be bought. Your integrity is too expensive to be compromised. Discernment will save your life. Use it. Let me destroy a fantasy. The first million isn't the finish line. The first million isn't where you get to relax and retire. The first million isn't the blessing. The first million is a battle cry. It's an announcement to the spiritual realm that you've leveled up. And now the warfare graduates too. Wealth doesn't end warfare. It intensifies it. Suddenly, you become visible to lawsuits. You become a target for manipulation. You become vulnerable to traps you didn't even know existed. Financial warfare escalates. Legal warfare emerges. Generational warfare intensifies. You're not just fighting for yourself anymore. You're defending legacy. You're protecting bloodline. You're securing generational freedom. And the enemy knows that if you succeed, entire family lines get liberated. So he fights harder. The attacks get more sophisticated. The opposition gets more strategic. The spiritual warfare becomes more intense. But here's the truth. You're not in this fight alone. And every attack is actually confirmation that you're a threat to hell's agenda. The real blessing isn't the money. The real blessing is the strength you build in the fight. The real blessing is the strategy you develop under pressure. The real blessing is the faith that gets forged in the warfare. You don't just survive the battle. You become the weapon. You don't just endure the warfare. You become dangerous. The first million isn't the reward. It's the tool. And the real win is who you become while wielding it. Sudden wealth will force you to confront something uncomfortable. Old faces will return. People who hurt you will resurface with fake smiles and unspoken guilt. Most won't apologize. Most will pretend nothing happened. They'll act like the betrayal never occurred and expect you to go along with the amnesia. Wealth will tempt you to flex on them. It will tempt you to prove a point, to make them regret how they treated you. But royalty doesn't operate that way. Royalty chooses release over revenge. Forgiveness doesn't require reconnection. Forgiveness doesn't mean giving them access again. Forgiveness is detachment from the resentment that's been poisoning you. Forgiveness is releasing the need for them to acknowledge what they did. Forgiveness is freeing yourself from the prison of bitterness. Peace is the real flex. Forgiveness is the crown. When you can see them and feel nothing. When you can wish them well without needing them to apologize. When you can release them without needing closure, that's when you know you're truly free. The breakthrough isn't just financial. The breakthrough is emotional. The breakthrough is spiritual. And the ultimate sign of your readiness for wealth is your ability to forgive people who will never deserve it. Final word. Listen closely. Being overlooked for years leaves residue. It creates doubt. It plants whispers that question whether you really deserve this. The blessing will feel unreal because struggle became so familiar that breakthrough feels foreign. Imposter syndrome will try to convince you this is all luck. It will try to make you shrink back. It will try to convince you that you're not really qualified, not really ready, not really anointed. But imposter syndrome is a liar. The breakthrough wasn't luck. It was preparation. It was divine appointment. It was years of hidden faithfulness that heaven documented when earth ignored you. You were trained. You were refined. You were chosen on purpose. Every test had a reason. Every delay had a purpose. Every season of lack was building capacity for the abundance that's landing now. You're not an imposter. You are an answer. You're not a fraud. You're anointed. You're not lucky. You're assigned. This wealth isn't random. It's prophetic. This breakthrough isn't coincidence. It's confirmation that everything you've been believing is about to manifest in the earth. The wait is over. The shift is here. The wealth is coming. And you are ready. Not because you're perfect, but because you're prepared. Walk in it, own it, steward it with excellence, build with it, bless with it, and let the world witness what happens when heaven finances someone who refused to quit. This is your moment. This is your season. This is your prophetic suddenly. And nothing and no one can stop what God has already stamped as done.